All right, so you get shit canned back to Bagram, basically. And what happened after that?
So it was a few days later, the guys came back and the CO basically said, hey, I'm going to wait till everybody gets back. And then we're going to have a meeting. So I got to tell you, I mean, for people to understand, I mean, to be sent back from the combat zone is about the greatest disgrace, in my opinion, you can take. And I was at rock bottom. I mean, that is probably the hardest thing. And I was hearing rumors that there were several people that were pushing for me to go to a Trident review board. And for anybody out there to understand that, a Trident review board is basically where a SEAL has to go before a board of individuals, usually enlisted and officers, and they basically decide, does he have the ability to still be a SEAL? And if they vote against that, they take his Trident and they send him out to the fleet. So I'm hearing this and still a lot in denial. I won't lie. I kept telling myself, hey man, you did the right thing. This is bullshit. You're being thrown under the bus. But I, went to that, first meeting and it went back and forth, and definitely all the mistakes that I had made up to that point were laid out on the table. The training mistakes and hanging on too tight, and then a lot of the drinking incidents, all these different things were brought up, culminating with this bad call on this mission. And yeah, man, it was brutal. I felt like I was getting shot up. And the CO and the master chief kind of listened to everything, and they said, okay, go back to your room. We'll meet back tomorrow morning at 8:00, and we'll tell you what we decide. So I went back to my room, and it's the only time in my life that I actually thought about killing myself. I pulled my cig out and put it in my mouth, and because I didn't think that, I didn't think that they were going to decide in my favor. And two, I didn't think I could fix it. So anyways, I mean, fate plays kind of interesting ways. My chair in my room in Bagram, my bed was it was a little small room, and my bed's off to the left, and my chair was up against the wall with my gear tree where my pistol was hanging, but directly across was my desk, and there was a picture of my wife and kids. And so here I am, this asshole with a gun in his mouth, and I'm looking at my wife and kids, and I'm like, what a fucking dumbass. So I put it away, and I went and saw the base chaplain, the Geopolitics chaplain, and talked to him and just said, dude, this is what's happening. And he was kind of funny because he's like, he listened for a while, and then he goes, all right, so let me get this straight. He's like, so you got yourself in trouble. He's like, you don't know what's going to happen yet. He's like, but you were going to kill yourself, but they haven't told you what's going to happen until 8:00 tomorrow morning. He's like, don't you think that's rushing things?
Can't you wait until they tell you to fuck off first?
So I was like, yeah, I guess you're right. So yeah, 8:00 the next morning, I go back, and the CO thankfully said, hey, you fucked up. But he said, I've seen you do a lot of good things. I believe in you. So we're going to give you a second chance. But it doesn't come without accountability, and it's going to be a hard road for you. And he said, the awards that you were going to get from this combat deployment are gone. We're taking all of them. You will receive an unofficial letter of reprimand, which in an officer's career, if you get a letter of reprimand, it ends your career. So what they did is they wrote an unofficial that the CO said, I'm going to put it in my safe. I'm going to turn it over to the new CO. He said, you're going to do another tour as an assistant platoon commander. He said, if you screw that up, this unofficial letter becomes official, and it will end your career. And he said, and the last thing is you're going to Ranger school. So, and they said, dismissed.
Oh, shit.
And I'll be honest, I was bitter.
Yeah.
I was still angry.
Did you still deflect and say it's them, it's not me?
I did.
Yeah.
Not to them. Obviously, I was
right,
at least smart enough in this situation and not storm out of there and be an idiot.
But internally, it was still their bad.
Absolutely. That I'm being thrown under the bus.
At what point did that transition into accountability on your end?
Ranger school.
No shit.
Yeah. And there was a key moment that happened in Ranger school it was a key moment. I quit Ranger school.
Really?
Yeah. True story. I quit Ranger School for about a 12-hour period. So bitter. All I did over the holidays after we got back from that deployment was drink and sulk. That's the reality. I was an asshole to my family. I was just bitter.
Did any of your platoon mates have your back? They were all fuck you. No shit.
I got pretty ostracized. And you know what? Some of it I feel like I did to myself. I mean, because I was pushing everybody away because I was ashamed. Like, man, I really screwed up, and God, my professional reputation's been called on the line. And in this meeting, I kind of saw, hey, man, you know, nobody believes you're a leader. You're a shitbag. So that hurt on top of everything else. But I still was trying to justify in my mind that I had done the right thing. But no, man, I was, you know, guys were calling me Rambo Red, which is not a compliment, guys. You know, I actually had somebody write on, you know, we had our checkout board. Somebody wrote on the board, you know, hey, why don't you go ahead and kill yourself? You know, team guys, dude, they're, you know, brutally honest, bro. Yeah. So no, I really did not, which definitely just kind of added insult to injury. So, anyways, got home, went to Ranger School, and was only home for a couple of months. I mean, they were like, hey, you know, you're going to get home, you're going to get settled, and you're going to Ranger School. So I went to the Ranger School the very beginning of February. And got to Ranger School, bitter, chip on my shoulder, went through the first part and just angry. Like, I didn't talk to any of these guys. And also, once again, arrogance played a part. I was like, hey, man, I'm a team guy. I'm in good shape. I'm going to crush this school. And, dude, Ranger School is hard. Yeah. You know, make no joke about it. I mean, it is not as hard as Bud's, but, dude, it's a kick in the balls. And because I was angry and bitter and didn't have the right mindset, and it was hard, on the third or fourth day of training, you had the land nav course. And I used to teach land nav. So they started us about 3 a.m. in the morning. It's February in Fort Benning. And for those that don't know, Fort Benning, Georgia, I believe the air is piped straight in from Alaska in the winter. I mean, dude, it was so cold that morning that my Camelback hose froze.
Oh, shit.
Yeah. And they wouldn't, you know, so I'm used to the teams where, you know, hey, if it's cold, dude, put some shit on. Yeah. And no, not there, man. It was like, take all your warmies off, get out and do this course. So all of that kind of culminated with me being pissed off. And I'm just like, well, you know what? I'm so good. I'm going to wait till the sun rises, and then I'll just crush this course and be done with it. Dumbass. Because it's actually a long, hard course, and I didn't finish. I ran out of time and failed. So got back, went to check in, and the Ranger instructors already had, dude, you know, I was the lone Navy guy in the Ranger School, and, you know, there's a lot of animosity between SEALs and Rangers, and they started giving me all kinds of shit. About failing the course, and all that pent up anger and frustration and denial and everything else just bubbled up. And I was like, fuck you guys. And they were like, are you quitting? And I was like, yeah, I'm done. So they were like, roger that, you know, go back to the barracks. You're going to have to meet with the Ranger Colonel, and slept a fitful night. I barely slept, and I was so ashamed, dude. I've never quit anything in my life. Like, I felt like it was a train wreck that wouldn't stop, you know, like every time I'd feel like, you know, the cars had settled, you know, like another train would come along and smash into the back. And so the next morning I had to go see the Ranger Colonel. A guy by the name of KK Chin was the colonel who I've connected with earlier this year. He retired Lieutenant General, just awesome guy, much respect for him. And met with him, and he basically, you know, what happened, and I gave him the sob story that I was this victim, this bullshit story. And thankfully he kind of saw right through that, and he was like, you know, I got a really good friend, and this is where fate is amazing. I got a really good friend. He's a SEAL, you know, pretty respected. You know, why don't I call him? And literally, like, he's dialing, and I'm kind of like, dude, I don't want to talk to any SEAL. I don't want to admit to a SEAL I quit. And dials him up, and it's Vince Peterson in the book. I changed his name, but Vince was my CO at 4, who, when I went back, and who mentored me, who encouraged me to get a commission. That's who he happens to know, and he happened to be on the other end of that phone. And he hands it to me, and I basically try and give Vince his same sob story. And he's, you know, I mean, he was such a good leader. He kind of listened, and then he's like, yeah, he was like, do you honestly think that Ranger School is punishment? And I was like, yes. And he's like, you know, you don't actually, he's like, you don't think you can learn something from it, that you can get better from it? And I was like, I don't know. And then this is where, as humans, when we screw up, we tend to think that there's no way to undo it, especially if it's a major mistake. And in this case, where it just been piling on. And I really just thought I had dug myself a hole that there was no way I could get out of. Like between the leadership mistakes in Afghanistan, and the credibility, you know, damage, and then quitting Ranger School, I was like, there's no way I can ever go back to the teams. Nobody's ever going to take me back. And he was like, listen, he's like, here's the deal. He said, people will follow you if you give them a reason to. You know, people's memories are pretty short. And if you're setting the example, they're going to follow you after a while. I mean, it just is the nature of the beast. I mean, if you are around somebody that might have had a bad reputation, over time, you're going to realize, dude, this person like sets the example. Like, I want to do what they're doing because that's what setting the example is. So he's like, go back to that course, crush it, and come back and give these guys a reason to follow you. And I was like, holy shit. It kind of changed my mindset. And I asked the colonel, I'm like, hey man, can I get back in my class? And he's like, no. He's like, but I'll roll you back an entire class and you'll go sit in Ranger School jail for a month. And then you'll roll into a new class. So for a month, I walked around Fort Benning picking up trash.
Oh, shit. And it fucking was, police call?
Yep. And it was during that month, dude, that I really kind of came to grips with the only person at fault was me. Yeah. And poor leadership decisions. And so it was a real wake-up call for me, an epiphany, and just kind of interesting the way it unfolded. But I needed it. Yeah. I needed it to become a better leader. And I mean, you know, I wasn't perfect, but I definitely learned and moved forward from there. And it was a hard road, man. You talk about coming back and earn it. It took, I mean, to this day, there are team guys that hate my guts, and there's nothing wrong with that because I'm sure they're just like, yeah, I remember that guy. He was that guy that fucked up in Afghanistan. But the guys that I work with, I earned back their trust.
Yeah. So when you went back through Ranger School, looking back on it, do you feel like you went back and really crushed it? Or? Oh,
yeah. No, I crushed it. As a matter of fact, my goal was to be honor man, and I would have been honor man, but rollbacks can't be honor man. I didn't know that.
Oh, no shit.
Yeah.
So, how much weight did you lose? Do you remember?
I lost maybe 20 pounds. Not as bad as some guys. I mean, some guys lost like 50 pounds.
That's fucking nuts.
Yeah. So I didn't lose too bad, but I don't know. I think I didn't have a lot of weight to lose. Yeah. I was already pretty lean.
Is there anything that sticks out in your mind comparatively between Buds and Ranger School where you would say this part of Ranger School is for sure harder, or that just kind of sticks out as being like, holy fuck?
Yeah, absolutely. The difference between Buds and Ranger School, Buds is physically harder in the moment. Like there's a lot of evolutions in Buds that are just brutally hard. I mean, you know, being wet and cold and sandy and then having to do things is hard. And a lot of the reindeer games, I think, were more intensive at Buds. Ranger School, but Buds, here's the difference. Buds, aside from Hell Week and a few times in third phase and then the island, you get breaks at night. You get to get away from the instructors. If you want to go out into town and blow off some steam, you could do that. You have like pressure relief times. Whereas Ranger School, that does not happen. You have black hat Ranger instructors breathing down your throat and, you know, yelling at you 24/7. And that gets old real fast. I remember in the first couple of weeks, like, dude, I got 6 more weeks of this.
Yeah. So well, the food is a big difference too, right? Like the one thing in Buds is that they fucking feed the shit out of you, which, you know, with the amount of cold that you're going through for that amount of time, I mean, they have to, you know, or yeah, fucking kill people a lot, you know, I think. But to me, that was the thing sticking out. One of my best friends growing up went through Ranger School and then ultimately ended up at Delta. But, you know, I remember, you know, we went through it at a kind of a similar time, you know, and him telling me that, you know, kind of here's how it went. I was like, dude, it would have fucking killed me not being able to eat that much, you know, because back then it was like, I mean, dude, I would come home from like you said, at night when you have that little bit of fucking reprieve from, from the stress of training. And I mean, I'd eat like after dinner, after we go to dinner as a class, I would stop. There was that little McDonald's next to the fucking barracks in the country store, or whatever the fuck, the Surf Mart, whatever the fuck it was called. And, I mean, I would eat every night. I would get a double quarter pounder meal. This is after dinner. And then I would eat an entire box of either Swiss cake rolls or oatmeal cream pies. And there's fucking 10 of them in a box, and a 64-ounce sugared Gatorade every fucking night after dinner, and still it was like I lost weight in buds, but anyway, did that have a role? I know you said you didn't have a lot of weight to lose, but did it still negatively impact you being hungry or feeling hungry? Did you feel hungry?
Yeah, no, you definitely felt hungry. Ranger School it's a great school. I will tell you, it is a good leadership school, but I do think buds, it set me up for success for the discomfort, because that's all it is. It's just, you're uncomfortable. You lack of sleep. So you get very little sleep. You're sleeping outside frequently. You're digging a hole and sleeping in a fighting position. There's the lack of food, depending on, I went through in the winter, so often we were cold, and, in Florida phase, you're wet and cold, which, we'd been through all that. Yeah. So it was just being uncomfortable, but still having to perform and function and lead. And Ranger School is kind of interesting because what they do is, everybody rotates through leadership. It's a leadership school. And everybody rotates through leadership positions. So one night, hey, Mike, you're the patrol leader. So you have to function as the patrol leader and run the whole thing. So I don't know. It sucked. Not eating sucked, but I don't remember it like it just killed me. There were definitely dudes, that got rolled because they called it, they would get caught with food. They would steal stuff out of the MRE and grazing. That's what they called it. Grazing. If you were found with food on you, aside from the periods when you were allowed to eat.
Yeah. That's some funny shit.
So,
all right. So, you kick ass.
Oh, you know what? I'll tell you the one thing that I hated in Ranger School more than anything else was ruck humping.
Yeah.
And I was a communicator, dude. Like, I can carry a ruck for days, but it's the way the Army does it. Hats off to all you fucking infantry fuckers, man. Because you guys can put a ruck on, and there's a certain way that Army guys learn to ruck, the way they lean into it, and they like get their hips into it, and just, they can move. And dude, I didn't have that.
That swag.
I didn't have that swag. So, dude, we would do these long ruck marches all the time. And like, I would end up having to run like half the time just to catch up.
That's a trip, man.
Yeah.
All right. So you kick ass at that. You come back to the team with kind of a newfound humility. What was that like coming back and furthering that uphill battle? What all did you have to do, or did you get right into a platoon and get kind of that second crack at it?
Yeah, I got right into a platoon. So I was already slotted. As a matter of fact, the troop had already started. Because I added, a month to my pipeline.
Was there some resistance in that new platoon? Were there some guys that like, I heard of you, motherfucker, and that just that culture, that feeling of,
absolutely,
you tell they don't fucking like you.
Yeah, I'd walk in the room and everybody stopped talking. So, no, I had all that.
That's always a good time.
Yeah. But you know what, man? The thing was, I came back and I realized, dude, this is the way it's going to be. You fucked up. Yeah. It's now on you to show them that you have the ability to do this. And you seriously fucked up. I mean, this is a job. I mean, when I left Afghanistan at Team 10, the guys were able to select what platoon and who they wanted to work for. And like, I wasn't even on the list. Yeah. So that's I kind of realized the reality of the situation. But I got to give a real shout out to my boss, who's still active duty, so I won't give his name, but he was a prior enlisted guy and a phenomenal leader. And when I came into that platoon on day one, he like sat me down. He was like, "Hey bro," he's like, "I heard what happened in Afghanistan." He's like, "I don't care." He's like, "All I care about is how you lead from this point forward." And he's like, "I'm going to give you opportunities to lead. I'm going to challenge you." And he said, "And sometimes I'm going to just need you to follow." And he's like, "I want you to follow my lead." He's like, "But I'm going to help you get back." And he did, man. He was so great. He was such a good mentor. He was a good leader. And he would look for, I think he knew that my confidence was shaken. I won't lie. I mean, it's tough to come back into this situation after you screwed up and be like, And he also knew he needed to build confidence in the guys to believe in me.
Yeah.
So he would frequently give me pretty complex training scenarios that really it should have been his job. And this is a tribute to him and his confidence and security in himself as a leader, because those would have been opportunities that other more junior, immature platoon commanders would be like, I have to do this so I can prove that I'm like this great leader because it's this really complicated training scenario. But frequently that would happen and he'd be like, hey, Red, you're in charge. And he'd step off and watch it with the training cadre. And I'd be navigating these really complicated, training scenarios. And that, A, it built my confidence, and B, it started to win the guys over, that they were like, oh, this guy does know what he's doing. He's making good decisions.
Yeah. How long would you say it was before, from the time you jumped back into that group until you felt like, you're at least on a level playing field and the guys are kind of starting to accept you to where it's at least somewhat of a comfortable feeling, if there ever was one?
Towards the end of the workup, there were definitely dudes that I warmed up to and we were becoming friends and hanging out with them and stuff like that. So I definitely, there was still a group that I felt like they didn't like me, and, it is what it is. And this kind of a thing for life, you're always going to have people that don't like you, fuck them.
Yeah.
So I was just kind of like, hey man, it is what it is. But really the defining moment occurred in Iraq. About 2 months into the deployment, we got into a huge gunfight on a pretty complicated target, and we had guys that got fragged. Our interpreter got wounded pretty badly, and we also had 11 women and children in the middle of all this craziness. So navigating all that and helping to coordinate that, getting us moved, getting our wounded moved, getting these women and children moved with us to another building under fire, and then calling in an airstrike or a gunship mission on this other house 60 yards away. When we came back from that, the guys were like, Red did a good job.
That's cool.
And actually the XO who had kind of called me out for screwing up right at the very beginning of the workout, so he and I didn't, I didn't feel like he liked me a whole lot.
Yeah.
He was the SOTA commander, and called me in. He said, hey man, I heard you did a great job tonight.
Wow.
So I was kind of like that kind of cemented my confidence. And I felt like, okay, man.
Reset button is officially hit.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's fucking cool. All right. So, things are going fairly well from that standpoint. Walk us through, ultimately what led to, you being injured.
Yeah. So it was super eventful deployment. We got into quite a few firefights and, really went after it. So everything was really good. I was getting my career. I felt like I had gotten my career back on track.
Before you talk about that one, were there any in between there that really stand out as being like, holy shit, fucking missions or operations?
No, by far. I think the biggest gunfight we got into was at night. There were quite a few after that, aside from the night I was wounded, but none of them were at that level. That night was crazy because we were taking down 3 buildings simultaneously and started taking gunfire from multiple positions. We had guys barricaded up on the rooftop in our building that were dropping grenades down on us. So that was probably the most complicated one we dealt with.
Yeah.
So, and after that, I do remember after that, I think the most impactful one for my mind that ended up being a dry hole was a Dust One operation. So for those that don't know, it's duty status, whereabouts unknown. So it was for a missing Marine and Army kid that had been captured, and we launched on that mission. In my opinion, I think that's kind of the highest level of special operations, to be able to go try and save, whether it's American service members or it's American citizens. So
how did that fucking pan out?
Dry hole.
Did they ever find them?
No, they found their bodies. Yeah.
Do you know about how long after?
I can't remember if it was on the deployment or maybe right after the deployment, but I remember somebody telling me that they had, found the bodies.
Yeah.
So
I'm sure they were in good shape too, right?
Yeah.